Jake Morrison stood at the Canadian border with $18 million in stolen cash hidden in his truck, watching border guards who hadn't noticed him yet. One step forward meant freedom and a lifetime of running. One step back meant federal prison. His phone was buzzing with calls from FBI agent Sarah Chen. "We know you're involved in the armored car thefts." For 18 months, this truck driver had pulled off the most audacious heist in state history, stealing millions during routine cigarette deliveries. Now he had 60 seconds to make the decision that would define the rest of his life. But Jake Morrison wasn't a criminal mastermind. He was just a regular guy who drove trucks for a living. Until one random Tuesday morning when he saw something that changed everything. Before I dive into Jake's incredible story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit that subscribe button. Smash the like if this story grabs you, and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. It's incredible to see how this community spans across the globe, and I love connecting with viewers everywhere. Now let's get back to Jake's unbelievable journey. "Another foreclosure notice," Jake muttered, crumpling the paper as he climbed into his 18-wheeler at the Midwest Industrial Distribution Center. 48 years old, divorced, living in a trailer park, and drowning in $180,000 of medical debt from his cancer treatment. The cancer was gone, but the bills kept growing. His phone buzzed. "Final notice. $47,000 due in 30 days, or we proceed with seizure." Jake's hands shook as he started unloading cigarette cases. 12 years driving for premium logistics, never missed a delivery, never caused trouble. But now his ex-wife wanted $28,000 in back child support. The bank wanted his house, and the truck company was threatening to fire him for missing payments. At 9:45 a.m. sharp, the Brinks truck pulled up. Same routine Jake had watched 100 times. Guard Rick always went to the bathroom at 9:50. Coffee routine. Guard Maria stayed with the truck but faced away from the loading dock. The money bag sat unattended for exactly 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Jake noticed the warehouse cameras had a blind spot near the electrical panel. It would be so easy, Jake thought, watching the cash bags. Rick's in the bathroom, Maria's not looking, cameras can't see the electrical panel. Just flip the breaker, grab one bag, walk away. He shook his head and finished his delivery. But that night, Jake calculated that one bag probably held $300,000. His total debt was $255,000. Next Tuesday, Jake found himself parking in the exact same spot, checking his watch. 9:49 a.m., Rick was walking toward the bathroom. Jake had brought a crowbar for tire maintenance and work gloves for better grip. He told himself he was just thinking about it. 9:50 a.m., Rick disappeared into the bathroom. Jake casually walked to the electrical panel, flipped the breaker for section C. Emergency lighting kicked in, but the cameras went dark for 90 seconds. In near darkness, Jake pried open one money bag, stuffed cash into his jacket and tool bag. Heart pounding, he flipped the power back on and returned to his truck. When Rick returned, Jake was filling out delivery forms. "Power went out for a minute. Must be the old electrical system." Rick didn't even check the money bags. Back in his truck, Jake counted $340,000 in cash. More money than he'd made in 5 years of driving. His hands shook as he realized what he'd done. "They're insured," Jake rationalized. "Nobody gets hurt. I just need enough to save my house and pay off the medical bills. 1 or 2 more times, then I'm done." That night, Jake researched armored car schedules at other warehouses on his route. He found 3 more locations with similar vulnerability windows. His manager called the next morning. "We're adding 2 new stops to your route next week. Both have regular armored car deliveries." Jake's heart raced. The opportunity was expanding. Over the next 3 months, Jake hit 5 different locations. Tuesday, Midwest Industrial, $340,000. Thursday, Central Valley Distribution, $280,000. Friday, Great Lakes Warehouse, $420,000. The following Tuesday, Midwest Industrial again, $310,000. Thursday, Metro Storage Solutions, $390,000. Jake perfected his technique. He mapped electrical panels and camera blind spots at each location. He timed security guard bathroom breaks with stopwatch precision. He developed legitimate reasons to be near money transfer areas and created false equipment problems to explain power outages. What started as desperate survival became methodical planning. Jake studied building layouts, security schedules, and guard personalities like a professional thief. At Metro Storage, guard Maria returned early from break. Jake was at the electrical panel with a money bag in hand. He had to pretend he was checking circuit breakers for truck battery charging issues. "Everything okay over there, Jake?" Maria called. "Yeah, just making sure my truck's getting proper power for the refrigeration unit," Jake replied, sweat dripping down his back. Jake realized he needed to expand beyond his regular route. Using truck stop Wi-Fi, he researched armored car company procedures, warehouse security vulnerabilities, and methods for creating fake delivery documentation. He discovered that Premier Security Services covered 23 warehouses across 3 states, and they were looking for new delivery contractors. Jake created Mountain View Logistics, a shell company for accessing new armored car locations. He rented a P.O. box, got a business license, created fake insurance documents, built a website, and registered as an approved vendor with Premier Security. As Mountain View Logistics, Jake gained access to 12 new armored car drop-off locations with higher value targets. Bank branch deposits, casino transfers, more sophisticated security systems requiring advanced techniques, larger cash volumes, $500,000 to $1.2 million per location. Jake's methods became more sophisticated. He used signal jammers to disable wireless security systems, employed lock-picking tools instead of crowbars, installed temporary camera loop devices, and developed 30-second cash extraction techniques. With $4.2 million stolen, Jake's life transformed. He paid off all debts in cash through various money laundering schemes, bought a new truck and equipment to maintain legitimate business cover, moved to a better trailer in an upscale park, and started dating again. But success brought new problems. Constant paranoia about being caught, difficulty sleeping due to adrenaline addiction, isolation from friends who asked about his sudden wealth, growing need for bigger and riskier scores. Federal agents visited Jake's route, investigating armored car thefts. They interviewed him as a potential witness since he was at the locations regularly. "Have you noticed anything unusual during your deliveries?" Agent Sarah Chen asked. "Anyone acting suspicious around the armored trucks?" "No, ma'am," Jake replied, fighting to keep his voice steady. "Just doing my job, making deliveries." Jake discovered that Titan Security handled the biggest targets, casino cash transfers worth $2 to $3 million each. Their security was military grade, but Jake noticed one vulnerability. The Grand River Casino's loading dock electrical system shut down the entire security grid for 4 minutes during weekly maintenance. Jake spent 6 weeks studying the casino operation. He posed as a delivery driver to map the facility, timed security rotations with military precision, identified backup power systems and override procedures, and located cash storage rooms and escape routes. The FBI investigation heated up. Agent Chen interviewed Jake again. "We know these thefts are inside jobs. Someone with legitimate access, familiar with the routines. Any ideas?" Jake knew this had to be his last job. He planned to steal the $2.8 million casino transfer and disappear forever. He created fake identity documents, researched non-extradition countries, arranged offshore banking for money laundering, and developed an exit strategy from legitimate trucking business. Jake realized he couldn't do the casino job alone. He approached Eddie Kowalski, a warehouse worker drowning in gambling debt. "I know how to get us both out of our problems forever," Jake said. "What are you talking about?" Eddie asked. "That casino transfer. $2.8 million. Every Friday at 3:15. Eddie's eyes widened. "You're crazy. I've been doing this for months. I know how to make it work." Jake received a call from his ex-wife the night before the casino heist. "The police were here asking about you. They wanted to know about your finances." "Jake, what have you done?" "It's nothing, Sandra. Just routine questions about some thefts in the area." "Jake, please tell me you're not involved in anything illegal." Jake couldn't answer. Friday afternoon, Jake arrived for his routine delivery at 2:45 p.m. Eddie was already inside, working his legitimate warehouse shift. The $2.8 million transfer was scheduled for 3:15 p.m. 3:10 p.m., Jake created a distraction by accidentally spilling chemical cleaning supplies. 3:12 p.m., Eddie triggered a false fire alarm in Section B, drawing guards away. 3:14 p.m., Jake accessed the electrical panel during evacuation confusion. 3:15 p.m., the power grid shut down for exactly 4 minutes. In complete darkness, Jake and Eddie executed their plan. They used thermal imaging goggles to navigate, cut through the cash storage room lock with a portable torch, loaded $2.8 million into Jake's truck among legitimate cigarette deliveries, restored power, and resumed normal operations. Guard Captain Marcus Williams returned early from evacuation. He saw Jake's truck in the wrong position and Eddie near the cash storage area. "What are you two doing here?" Jake claimed he was securing his hazardous chemical delivery during the fire alarm. Eddie said he was checking for fire damage to warehouse inventory. Marcus was suspicious but had no proof. Jake drove away with $2.8 million hidden under cigarette cases. Eddie returned to his normal shift. The theft wouldn't be discovered until Monday morning's inventory check. Alone in his truck, Jake realized he'd now stolen $18 million total. He'd crossed the line from desperate man to career criminal, and there was no going back. Jake's phone rang. It was Agent Chen. "We need to talk. We know you're involved in the armored car thefts. Come in voluntarily, and we can discuss a deal." Agent Chen presented Jake with overwhelming evidence. Security camera footage placing him at all theft locations, financial records showing his debt disappearing without legitimate income, witness testimony from guards who noticed his suspicious behavior, electronic evidence linking him to the fake Mountain View Logistics Company. "You were at Midwest Industrial every Tuesday for 8 months, Agent Chen said. Your debts totaling $255,000 vanished overnight. Mountain View Logistics is registered to a P.O. box you rent. We have footage of you near electrical panels at theft locations." Jake realized the investigation had been building for months. Every move he made was being watched and documented. The FBI knew everything except the location of the money. "Cooperate fully, tell us how you did it, return the money, and we'll recommend reduced charges," Agent Chen offered. "Otherwise, you're looking at life in federal prison." Jake knew he was caught, but $18 million was enough to disappear forever. He had fake identity documents, offshore accounts, and a plan to flee the country. When Jake didn't return home, the FBI launched a massive search. Roadblocks on all interstate highways, airport security alerts with his photograph, international law enforcement notifications, media coverage turning him into a wanted fugitive. Jake drove his truck through back roads, avoiding detection. He had 48 hours to reach the Canadian border before his fake documents expired. At the Canadian border, Jake stopped his truck and stared at the crossing. Border guards hadn't noticed him yet. Running would make him a fugitive forever. He'd never see his family, never have a normal life, never stop looking over his shoulder. Was $18 million worth a lifetime of fear? Jake turned his truck around and drove straight to the FBI field office. He walked in and told Agent Chen, "I'm ready to talk. I want to make this right." Over 12 hours, Jake detailed every theft, exact methods used to bypass security systems, locations where money was hidden, timeline of all 23 separate thefts, financial records showing money laundering techniques. Jake led agents to his hiding places, $4.2 million buried in waterproof containers on his property, $6.8 million in offshore accounts accessible with his cooperation, $3.1 million in cash and gold bars and storage units, $2.9 million invested in legitimate businesses under false names. Jake's detailed confession helped the FBI solve related cases, exposed security vulnerabilities in the armored car industry, identified other warehouse workers involved in similar thefts, provided intelligence on money laundering networks, and assisted in recovering stolen funds from other investigations. Federal prosecutors offered a deal: 15 years in federal prison instead of a life sentence, full restitution of $18 million to victims, cooperation in ongoing security improvement initiatives, testimony in related armored car industry cases. Judge Rebecca Martinez sentenced Jake to 12 years in federal prison. "Your crimes were sophisticated and prolonged. However, your cooperation has been extraordinary. You've helped prevent future thefts and recover stolen funds. Justice requires punishment, but also recognizes redemption." Jake served his time in a minimum security facility. He worked in the prison automotive shop teaching truck maintenance. He earned a college degree in business administration, counseled other inmates about making better choices, and maintained model prisoner status throughout incarceration. Jake's methods exposed serious security flaws. Armored car companies invested $200 million in upgraded systems. New federal regulations required advanced security protocols. Electronic monitoring systems prevented future similar thefts. Insurance companies demanded higher security standards. After serving 8 years, Jake was released for good behavior and cooperation. Mountain State Security hired Jake as a consultant. Nobody knows security vulnerabilities better than you. Your insights have already prevented millions in losses. We need someone who thinks like a criminal to stop criminals. Jake's consulting work transformed the industry. He developed the Morrison Protocol for armored car security, trained security personnel to recognize insider threats, designed vulnerability assessment programs, and spoke at conferences about crime prevention. Jake rebuilt his life on a foundation of honesty. He lived modestly in a small apartment, sent money to victims, maintained sobriety, attended counseling sessions, reconnected with his children who respected his transformation, and found peace in helping prevent others from making his mistakes. Agent Chen, who investigated Jake's case, became a colleague. You chose the hard path of redemption. Your cooperation saved taxpayers millions. You've proven that people can change. Jake addressed security professionals at the annual conference. I stole $18 million because I was desperate and foolish. But I learned that integrity is worth more than money. My crimes hurt innocent people, and I'll never stop trying to make amends. 5 years later, Jake drove a security consulting van to his next assignment. Ironically, the same warehouse where he made his first theft. He was helping install new security systems to prevent future crimes. The guard who once watched him steal now shook his hand in greeting. Jake Morrison, from desperate truck driver to master thief to security consultant. His story proved that desperation can drive good people to crime, but redemption is possible for those willing to face the consequences of their actions.